All right, ready to dive in? Today, we're tackling a real classic.
Yeah.
Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
A big one.
You know, it's one of those books everyone's heard of, but
Right.
maybe not everyone's actually read. So
Yeah.
we're going to break it down, see what we can learn.
Sounds good.
So for anyone feeling a little, I don't know, stuck, overwhelmed, like they're not quite reaching their potential,
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
this one's for you.
This book, it's not about quick fixes or anything.
No, it seems to go deeper.
It's about principles. Covey calls it the character ethic.
Okay, the character ethic.
Yeah, it's the idea that real effectiveness, it comes from like timeless principles, like
Okay.
integrity, humility, courage.
So it's not just about appearances.
No, it's about who you really are.
It's about being good, not just looking good.
Exactly.
That's pretty refreshing, actually.
right.
But how does that actually,
Yeah.
play out in real life?
Right. Well, Covey contrasts this with what he calls the personality ethic.
Oh?
Which is all about, like, outward techniques,
Like what kind of things?
communication skills, positive thinking, stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
They can be helpful, but
But they're not the whole picture.
yeah, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a deeper problem.
Right. I see the distinction.
So it's not just learning a bunch of tricks.
Right.
It's about something way more fundamental.
Yeah, about who you are at your core.
Exactly. And Covey, he actually tells this story
Oh.
from his own life about struggling to help his son, and kid was having a hard time in school and sports.
Yeah.
And he tried all these like personality ethic things,
Okay.
but nothing seemed to be working.
I think a lot of parents out there can relate to that.
Oh, for sure.
So what changed?
He had this like epiphany
Huh?
while he was preparing a presentation for IBM about perceptions.
Okay.
And he realized that he and his wife, they were seeing their son as like inadequate. And that belief, it was kind of sabotaging their efforts.
Wow. Even with good intentions, if your underlying beliefs aren't right,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the results.
Right. And that's what led him to this idea of the law of the harvest.
The law of the harvest?
You reap what you sow.
Okay, like in farming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't expect a bumper crop if you planted the wrong seeds.
So how does that, the law of the harvest,
Yeah.
apply to, everyday life?
It means that real success in relationships, in life, it comes from building that strong character ethic.
Okay.
It's about the work you do on yourself.
Not just shortcuts or tricks.
Nope.
It's about building something solid.
Yes, and that's where the power of paradigms comes in.
Paradigms.
Covey says they're like mental maps that shape how we see the world.
Okay, I think I get that.
Imagine you're trying to navigate Chicago, but you're using a map of Detroit.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to work.
You'll never get where you want to go.
So if our mental maps, our paradigms are wrong, we're going to keep running into problems.
Exactly. He gives the example of people who, take time management courses,
Yeah.
but they're still overwhelmed.
Yeah, I've been there.
It might be that their whole idea of time is the problem.
So it's not just about managing time better.
Right.
It's about changing your whole understanding of time.
You got it.
Wow, okay.
And that brings us to another big idea, the maturity continuum.
Maturity continuum.
Covey says it's a progression from dependence
Okay.
to independence to interdependence.
So first you rely on others, then you can stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop there.
There's more.
The real magic happens when you reach interdependence,
What's that?
when you can collaborate and achieve even greater things together.
Ah, so it's not about being a lone wolf.
No.
It's about understanding that we can do more together.
Exactly. And that shift from independence to interdependence
Yeah.
is huge.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Yeah.
This is making me rethink some things already.
That's what Covey does. And he's got this great way of explaining complex things with simple metaphors. The PPC balance.
Okay, the PPC balance.
Imagine a goose that lays golden eggs.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The eggs are the production, the results we want.
Right.
The goose is the production capability, our ability to produce those results.
Okay.
But if we only focus on getting more eggs and we neglect the goose,
Oh,
eventually it won't be able to lay any more eggs.
so we need to take care of ourselves, the goose.
Yes.
Yeah.
To keep those golden eggs coming.
It's about finding balance.
Exactly. Between achieving results and taking care of our well-being.
Physical, mental, emotional.
All of it.
This is about sustainability.
It is, not burning ourselves out.
Right, building a sustainable way of life.
Covey uses the example of someone who, works themselves sick.
Yeah.
trying to be productive, but in the end,
They're not productive at all.
right, the PPC balance, it's about working smarter, not just harder.
I'm really starting to see how these ideas connect. It's about principles, paradigms, and balance.
You got it. And that's just the foundation.
There's more.
We haven't even gotten to the 7 habits themselves.
Okay, so this is all just setting us up
It's giving you the context you need.
to understand the 7 habits.
Exactly.
All right, well, I'm ready for the next level. Bring on the 7 habits.
Let's do it. So, ready to dive into those 7 habits?
You bet. Let's do it.
Okay, but before we get there,
Mm.
there's one more idea, a really important one.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's the difference between private victory and public victory.
Private victory and public victory.
Yeah, Covey says you can't really have good relationships with other people
Mm.
if you don't have a good relationship with yourself.
That makes sense. So private victory is about getting your own house in order,
Exactly. Conquering your own bad habits, limiting beliefs.
working on yourself first.
Right. It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
Covey tells this story about this guy at one of his seminars who was more worried about what his wife would say when he got home than he was about the actual seminar content.
What was going on?
Turns out he'd met his current wife at a similar seminar
Oh, no.
while he was still married to someone else.
Wow, that's a bit awkward.
Yeah, the point is you can't talk your way out of problems you behave yourself into.
Private victory comes first.
You got it.
Okay, so private victory sets the stage for everything else.
Exactly.
So are we ready to tackle that first habit?
Let's do it. Habit 1, be proactive.
I hear that phrase all the time, be proactive.
Right.
But what does it actually mean, like in practice?
It means recognizing that you have the power to choose how you respond to things.
Okay.
It's about focusing on what you can control.
Not what you can't.
Exactly. Covey talks about your circle of influence.
Circle of influence.
The things you have control over.
Versus your circle of concern, the things you don't.
Right. So instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance,
You take charge.
yes, you become the master of your own destiny.
I like that.
And you can even tell if someone is being proactive or reactive
Really.
just by their language.
Oh, give me an example.
A reactive person might say, I have to do this.
Okay.
A proactive person would say, I choose to do this.
Oh, interesting.
Or there's nothing I can do, versus let's look at our options.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
It's a subtle shift, but it makes a big difference.
So first, we've got to be proactive.
That's the foundation.
What's next?
Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
What does that mean?
It means thinking about your goals, your values.
Your purpose in life.
Exactly. Covey suggests this thought experiment.
Okay.
Imagine it's your own funeral.
Oh, wow.
What do you want people to say about you?
That's a little morbid, but I get it.
It forces you to think about what really matters.
What kind of legacy you want to leave behind.
Exactly. It's about living intentionally.
Not just going through the motions.
Right. So we've got proactivity and purpose.
What's next?
Habit 3. Put first things first.
Okay, this sounds like time management.
It is, but it's more than that. It's about prioritizing what really matters.
Based on your goals and values.
Exactly. Covey talks about these 4 quadrants of time management.
4 quadrants.
And he says the key to effectiveness is focusing on quadrant 2.
What's quadrant 2?
The things that are important but not urgent.
Okay, that's interesting.
He tells this story about a guy who was so obsessed with efficiency
Yeah.
that he scheduled a 10-minute phone call to break up with his girlfriend.
Oh, no.
He was so focused on checking things off his list.
That he missed the whole point.
Right. It's a reminder that effectiveness isn't about sacrificing our relationships.
Or our well-being.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the first 3 habits. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first.
And those are all about what?
Mastering ourselves.
Yes, that private victory.
Which then sets us up for public victory.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next 4 habits are all about those successful interactions with others.
You got it. We're going to dive into those next.
All right, I'm ready for it.
And you're going to love this part. It's all about building those win-win relationships.
Win-win, here we come. Okay, so we've covered private victory, getting ourselves in order.
Right, mastering those first 3 habits.
Now it's time for public victory.
Yeah, building those strong relationships with others.
I'm ready to take my collaboration skills to the next level.
Well, then you're going to love habit 4. Think win-win.
Win-win, it sounds great in theory,
Right.
but how do you actually pull it off? The world can feel pretty competitive.
It starts with changing your mindset.
Okay, how so?
Letting go of that scarcity mentality.
Scarcity mentality.
That idea that there's only so much to go around, and if someone else wins, you lose.
Oh, I see, like a fixed pie.
Yeah, Covey calls the opposite the abundance mentality.
Abundance mentality.
Believing there's plenty out there for everyone.
And that you can create solutions where everyone benefits. Okay, I like that, but still, it can't always be easy to find those win-win solutions.
It takes courage and consideration.
In what way?
Courage to stand up for your own needs,
Okay.
but also consideration for the needs of others.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah, being assertive but also empathetic.
Not a pushover, but not a bully either.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And, you know, win-win isn't just a feel-good thing.
No.
It's actually smart business.
How so?
When everyone feels like they're winning, they're more engaged, more motivated.
So it's a win-win for everyone, literally.
Right. It's about creating a more productive and positive environment.
This is making me think about how I approach collaborations, negotiations.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more room for win-win than I realize.
Often there is.
Okay, what's the next habit on this public victory journey?
Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Communication is key, right?
It is, but it's about a specific kind of communication.
What kind?
Empathic listening.
So more than just waiting for your turn to talk.
It's about really getting where the other person is coming from.
Seeing things from their perspective.
Yeah, understanding their feelings.
Okay, I think I get that.
Covey compares it to a doctor diagnosing a patient.
Before prescribing treatment.
Right. You wouldn't want a doctor to just throw medicine at you.
Without figuring out what's wrong.
Exactly. But we do that all the time in conversations.
Yes, I'm guilty of that sometimes.
We jump to giving advice.
Before we really understand the situation.
And it takes courage to really listen.
Yeah, to be present.
And to be open to another person's perspective.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Powerful stuff.
Okay, what's next?
Habit 6. Synergize.
Ooh, synergy. I love that word.
It's where things get really interesting.
How so?
Covey says synergy is the principle that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay, like teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah. It's about combining different strengths.
To create something even better.
Exactly. He tells this story about a company president who tried to force correlation with a competitive reward system.
Like pitting people against each other.
Yeah, and it totally backfired.
Because it created a win-lose environment.
You can't force synergy. It comes from trust and open communication.
That makes sense. This is making me think about, those amazing teams?
Yeah.
Where everyone's comfortable sharing ideas, building on each other's strengths.
When that happens, the results can be incredible.
Okay, we've got one habit left, right?
We do, and it's a big one.
Hit me with it.
Habit 7. Sharpen the saw.
Sharpen the saw. Okay.
It's about renewing yourself.
In every way.
Physical, spiritual, mental, social, emotional, the whole package.
So it's about taking care of yourself.
Yes. Recognizing that you're not a machine.
We need to recharge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can keep going, keep growing.
What are some examples of sharpening the saw?
Well, physically, it could be exercise, eating well, sleep.
The basics.
Mentally, it could be reading, learning new things.
Expanding your horizons.
Spiritually, meditation, connecting with nature, something bigger than yourself.
Okay.
And
yeah.
socially, emotionally, nurturing your relationships, practicing empathy.
This is making me realize I've been neglecting some of these areas.
It happens. We get busy.
I get so caught up in work, other commitments.
And then we burn out.
Exactly.
It's about remembering that PPC balance.
Right. Taking care of the goose that lays the golden eggs.
You got it.
Okay, so we've covered all 7 habits. This has been amazing.
That's a lot to take in.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
That real effectiveness, it starts with you.
It's an inside-out process.
Your character, your paradigms, your commitment to growth.
And then you let the 7 habits guide you.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about perfection.
It's about progress.
Pick one habit, focus on it, see what happens.
One step at a time.
You got it.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
I agree.
I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for life.
Me too.
If you're feeling inspired to learn more, definitely pick up a copy of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
It's a classic for a reason.
You won't regret it.
And remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
What small step will you take today?
That's the question to ask yourself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing.
And keep diving deep.